Hey, it's Mike Chen. Let's talk about North Korea again. You know, this hermit state has long since become an enigma to the world when they decided to wall themselves up and separate themselves from the rest of the international community. And behind the veil that they place, countries around the world are still really anxious about what's happening behind it, what its leaders are doing, what its generals are planning behind the closed doors. And as we can see from the daily news reports, it is pretty much a fact that North Korea is an extremely unpredictable country with leaders who are pretty unpredictable themselves. And of course, the growing threat of North Korea's nuclear capabilities has earned the country a number of embargoes and sanctions from the UN and the rest of the world, hoping that sanctions will eventually knock some sense into their leaders and cripple their financial capabilities of producing more weapons of mass destruction. Unfortunately, those strict sanctions have been imposed time and time again, but they don't really seem to work. And we've all heard rumors that the country is broke, people don't have enough food to eat, so where are they getting all the money for all these missiles they seem to be launching every single day? So in today's video, we're going to explore these questions by exploring the 5 crazy ways that North Korea makes money. First off, their trade on the black market. During the height of the Soviet Union, North Korea was pretty well funded and financed by their largest ally in the world. But this all collapsed, of course, when the Soviet Union was dissolved. North Korea was perhaps the country that was hit the hardest during the collapse of the USSR because Russia was one of their primary sources of income. So North Koreans resorted to dealing and trading in the seedy underbelly of the black market. Among the alleged activities that North Korea involves themselves in are illegal exportation of goods, money laundering, and even human trafficking. They've also been accused of counterfeiting US currency and freely distributing them. What's interesting is that the US $100 bill is the most counterfeited currency in North Korea, that according to reports, officials insist that citizens use $50 US bills instead when they make so-called loyalty offerings. This is due to the reason that they think fake $100 bills have flooded the local market so much that North Koreans avoid using the denomination altogether. One of the most lucrative enterprises that North Korea has been known for is their involvement in the international drug trade. Other than opiates, cocaine, and heroin, North Korea is also said to be involved in the widespread distribution of counterfeit prescription medication. According to a source from the Atlantic Council, the country has a large illicit drug industry. Though several reporters and investigative teams have all made substantial research on the matter, North Korea continues to deny allegations of their involvement in the drug trade and distribution of counterfeit medication. Number 3, cybercrime. In the recent years, North Korea has been under fire for being responsible for hacking and mining sensitive information from different institutions. From Hollywood to financial companies around the world, several illegal online activities were traced back to North Korean servers. In 2016, one of the largest cyber attacks happened when $81 million was stolen from a Bangladesh account at the New York Federal Reserve. According to the Wall Street Journal, North Korea had help in the massive cyber theft from Chinese middlemen. Also, there have been some Chinese financial firms that appear to have been channels from which North Korea collects their funds. The degree of the theft was so bad that 6 US senators, including then presidential candidates Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio, wrote the US Treasury and urged them to restrict North Korean banks from accessing Chinese banks to cut off any channels that siphons money to Pyongyang. Also, in a report published by a Russian cybersecurity firm, North Korea has been linked to cyber attacks in at least 18 countries in their respective financial institutions that include Costa Rica, Nigeria, and Poland. Number 2, arms deals. North Korea is infamous for their nuclear arms, and it has also benefited them financially. According to Anita Basu, a lead analyst from the Economist Intelligence Unit for the regions of the Philippines, Indonesia, and North Korea, the North Korean economy is basically being run by its arms deals. She points out that Pyongyang has export deals with several African countries. Even more, a number of political analysts and experts speculate that North Korea is in close cooperation with Iran on nuclear arms development. Reports from the UN Security Council has even uncovered that North Korea uses construction companies in Africa to manufacture weapons, which they then distribute. The UN report even reveals that Egypt has recently intercepted a North Korean ship carrying 30,000 units of PG-7 rocket-propelled grenades, along with other weapon parts and accessories. How these weapons slip past the scopes of the world is through North Korea's exploitation of markets and procurement services around Asia, the Middle East, and Africa. Finally, human slave labor. Coal and hard minerals bring income to North Korea as well. These minerals can be used to create and fuel weaponry. And one of the most horrifying acts that North Korea has ever done to its people is forcing them into slave labor and shipping them off abroad, usually to factories or mines in China or Russia. At home, slave labor is also one of the ways in which the North Korean government is able to build their weapons as well as export natural resources for that much needed revenue. More often than not, laborers who are forcibly sent abroad to work are placed in inhumane conditions that drive most of them to suicide suicide or severe mental breakdown. And of course, they are paid very little or not at all. Not only does the money from selling slave labor help North Korea manufacture its weapons, it has also been known that Kim Jong-un and his top officials also used the money in order to buy the support of other leaders and try to rally them to their side. In a statement made by Robert Manning, a senior fellow at the Atlantic Council, he said, "If we can take away his hard currency, his hard cash, I think that will create a new political dynamic in North Korea. He can't buy off the political elites." So there you go. If you're wondering why you keep hearing about sanctions, but nothing is really changing in North Korea except that they're firing more rockets and more successful rockets, well, that's where a lot of their money is coming from. Also, guys, I've got a personal announcement to make, and I guess I'll start doing it here. And I'll be making this announcement over the course of several videos on this channel and also the Beyond Science channel. For those of you who watch my mini channels, you know I have a lot of channels. And over the last couple years, I've gotten a lot of help on the Beyond Science channel, also the Beyond Science 2 channel, which was supposed to really just be a discussion channel on the topics of Beyond Science 1, but after my co-host left, it just really didn't go that direction, so it kind of turned into a general information channel. And of course, it needs a lot of research, it needs a lot of writing, so for the last couple years, I've gotten a lot of help. I've actually put together a team of researchers and writers to help me come up with the contents for each video. But even with that, I still put in a lot of hours in these channels, and with the way that I think the channels are going, my attention is being pulled more to food and travel, and that's really where my heart is. I love all this stuff as well. I love the mysterious stuff, I love the information stuff, but I just had to make a choice, because if I can't do something full-heartedly, I prefer that I just don't do it. So gradually over the next month or so, you're gonna see me slowly pull out of Beyond Science 1 and 2, and new hosts will just take over. And they'll keep making great content, keep the channels going. And besides what I'm doing with the food and travel, I'm also working on a 12-episode Beyond Science TV series. That is probably not gonna air on TV, it's probably gonna still air on YouTube or somewhere. So it's gonna be a lot of research, a lot of information, a lot of interviews. We're gonna travel to different locations. It's something I've always wanted to do, and finally I feel like this is the right time to kind of take that step. So although I love being with you guys on these platforms, I really don't feel like I should be doing this if I can't give it 110%. So I really appreciate you guys watching me on these platforms. And it's not goodbye, I'll be back once I have that better content created. And this is not goodbye, I'm gonna come back, but I do need more time and more attention to kind of take this to the next level. So hopefully you guys understand and you keep watching and supporting the next whoever's in front of this camera. All right guys, thank you all so much for watching this video. See you later.